Good morning, good afternoon. My name is Karen Barton, and I'm the training manager here at National MI. And we are ready to get started with our webinar today. And with that, I'd love to kick off with Ryan Evans. Ryan, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Karen. So I really appreciate everybody coming on the call today to hear from Kristen. We really enjoy partnering, with cultural outreach, and I'm glad that you're taking the opportunity to give up some time in your day today to hear what Kristen has to say. Again, she's been a fantastic partner, and these training sessions are a value add that we like to bring to our customers and business partners. You know, I've been in the business now for 20 years, and we've seen a lot happen in our industry over the last 20 years. And the biggest piece probably being the financial crisis we went through about 10 years ago. For those of you who have been in the business for that amount of time or longer, you probably remember seeing a time where our industry operated largely, that being the mortgage industry, kind of like the wild, wild west, where there really just was record appreciation. There was really just a lot of exotic products and a lack of accountability. And at National MI, we really embraced the idea of accountability. We built this company to be able to pay claims and be a partner with you, no matter what you're seeing. Because we want you to be able to assess risk, write loans, and do all the things that you need to do without having to worry about whether or not you'll be covered in the event that we see, I don't know, some of the scary things we've seen in the past. We have the best master policy in the business. We also have a really great process with our 12-month rescission relief. If that's something you're not taking advantage of or you're not sure, I highly recommend reaching out to your account manager or account representative in your territory. I'm in the Michigan territory, and for February here today, it feels like Southern Canada. So we've had a lot of fun here over the last few weeks. But hey, it's winter, and we chose to live this close to the Great White North, right? So wherever you're at, I hope that you're warm, and I hope that you enjoy this presentation that National MI is so happy to bring to you today. I want to tell you a little bit about Kristen here. She is a national speaker on the topic of business growth with millennials and multicultural consumers, and she's the founder of Cultural Outreach, helping companies reach millennials and underserved segments through employee training and corporate strategy. Kristen has spoken at over 100 conferences, including the Mortgage Bankers Association, the American Bar Association, and Harvard Business School. She holds over 13 years of experience working in multicultural business and social work. And prior to starting her own business, Kristen was a social worker and community educator in the Latino immigrant community. She also led teams of volunteers locally and abroad to develop sustainable business practices, and she's consulted for multinational social enterprises with the Center of Creation for Economic Wealth. Kristen was trained by former McKinsey consultants at the University of Oklahoma, where she earned her Master of Public Administration. Kristen co-authored the MBA's Section 342 Compliance Toolkit and is the managing editor for Mortgage Women magazine. I thought it was a big deal when I cleaned out my garage. As I look through all of these accomplishments by Kristen, I'm now really putting all that into perspective. So again, thank you everyone for being on our call, and Kristen, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. So I am really excited to talk on this subject because video is so much fun. We are using video so much more today, as we talked about, Karen kind of mentioned introducing this topic, and it has become really the way that we can humanize this transaction. And so, and I think ultimately, as I'll share more about this later, this is how you create a competitive advantage, is by building that relationship in a way that is still convenient and a virtual experience, but allows you to really humanize and personalize the experience. So as we get started, I want to mention that we do have a YouTube channel that has a lot of really great interviews on there. So you want to check that out and see what we're talking about related to modern trends and anything around the topic of making a digital shift and a modern shift for today's consumers. We also have an Instagram account where I just posted about getting the webinar started, and we're sharing lots of fun updates there. And something that I am most excited about is our collaboration with National MI. So through National MI, we have released a website that is called discoverim3.com That's where this webinar recording will be hosted after one of the places it'll sit. And we have a ton of other resources on there. So everything from how to update your social media accounts, how to be active on social media, to how to reach millennials, anything around making that modern shift. So go to discoverim3.com. You can download materials, flyers, things that you could use in actually hosting one of these types of presentations with real estate agents or just learning yourself. And we also have all of our webinar recordings on there. And then on a monthly basis, we release new content. So thanks to National MI, we are able to produce a bunch of content every month that is helping to keep you in the know about modern trends. And so, and all around how to build your sales funnel and increase sales with today's young and diverse market. So on a monthly basis, we have a new interview, a handout, and a webinar, and some additional materials that we release in a newsletter that's interactive. So you can go in and click to watch the interviews and things like that. So if you actually go to the Discover M3 website, you can sign up for that newsletter. And this is a free resource, just like this webinar, thanks to National MI. So thanks again, National MI, for letting us provide this kind of value to the industry. For example, the thing that's coming out this month, the interview that's coming out this month is an interview we did with Christy Cisco, who is the president of mortgage for Flagstar Bank, and she shared some insights around, particularly, I believe the focus was on women in the mortgage industry. So there's lots of good stuff like that in there. Okay, so moving into video content, we're gonna start by introducing why video is important and how much this has really taken over a lot of modern communication, and then get into types of video content, so how you can use video, and then getting into some best practices and distribution. Now, I will say there is so much content in this webinar. My team all collaborated. I believe 3 of us were working on this webinar deck to bring as much value as we could into squeezing that into 1 hour. So we're not going to get to everything in this webinar deck, but I wanted to give you this resource, and I want to get to the core of it, also answer some of your questions. And then this presentation deck is made available to you. So we have a lot of details in here on the slides, and I'm not going to touch on every aspect as I speak to it. But you do have this as something that I would highly recommend you go back through and create your video strategy alongside it. So this is kind of dual purpose, one, to present and have a conversation with you today, but then secondly, a resource for you to go back and create your video strategy with some of the instructions that we have in here as well. So I think Karen mentioned this, but as you have questions, or maybe Ryan did, but as you have questions, just type those in the question box, and I will pause at each break and see if I can address any of those questions. So first, the impact that video has had on business marketing. So the average consumer watches more than an hour and a half of online video content per day, and that is continuing to grow. So today's consumers, when we talk about multi-generational trends, like the differences between a baby boomer and Generation Z in terms of how they consume content, baby boomers tend to read more content, and Gen Zers tend to watch a lot more content. And all of modern consumers are spending a lot more time watching video, so, and anything more visual. So that's why video is becoming more and more important. This is not a fad. This is not something that's going to pass on by. So it's very important that you start doing this now and learn how you can leverage video for your business. 93% of businesses reported gaining a new customer as a direct result of a video posted on social media. Now, this is really incredible because when we talk about social media, it's really about branding and relationships. It's usually about how do you, and that's a very important part, how do you build your network, how do you build an audience, but for video to directly result in a sale, I mean, that is well worth your time. Businesses using video marketing, 76% reported an increase in traffic to their website because of video. These are hard facts. I mean, it's amazing how much we can actually quantify that. The reason video has become king is because, one, consumers remember visual content. So particularly video, it's something that produces an emotional response in our brain. It's not just a fact that we're reading. It's something that triggers an emotional connection with the brand or the content itself. And 80% of users can recall a video ad that they've seen in the last 30 days, which is pretty incredible. It also allows us to have a short attention span. So given today's market, where we are in a very noisy and chaotic environment, there's constantly something in our face. Video captures our attention, and it requires all of our focus when we're watching a video. So you have a very short period of time, and we'll talk about the difference between short form and long form video momentarily, but it captures our short attention span. It's also something that we can look at on the go. So we can be scrolling through our newsfeed while we're waiting for a ride or whatever, and we can watch that content. It can be kind of an entertainment. It's also dynamic storytelling. So it's not something that requires a whole lot of me to be able to capture to understand the story. And again, kind of feeds into that short attention span. It's also easy for creating bundles or series of content. So we'll get into types of content in a minute too, but you can create we've done lots of series of video content for clients where it's steps to buying a home or steps to building your credit score or things like that. And that makes it very easy for you to produce content. And it is also very quick to produce and promote. It may not feel quick at the beginning. And that's something I want to emphasize, especially as we lead into talking about some of the best practices. It is uncomfortable at first. Even when I started doing webinars, which I think that was about 5 years ago, it felt uncomfortable. I mean, I am speaking to a computer right now, but you become more and more comfortable with it, especially when you start getting feedback from your audience and your brain recognizes, oh yeah, there are people watching. I'm going to get a positive response when I can communicate through video. So it takes a minute at first for you to be able to, it takes time and for you to feel more comfortable, but then it becomes very, very quick. And so it becomes a lot easier. So I'm going to go ahead and move it through section 2, and then I'll pause for questions. The types of video content. Now, there are all different kinds of directions we can go with this, but I want to share just a little bit. One is the difference between short form and long form content. I would highly recommend that you focus on short form content. Short form content is 30 seconds or less. So this is something that truly, while I'm waiting for my Uber, I can be watching a video. And especially when I see it's 30 seconds, I think, okay, I can manage listening to this for 30 seconds. It also forces you to think about, how do I communicate one point in a short period of time? Usually we think we need 2 or 5 minutes to communicate something, and we can really slim it down to 30 seconds. So the short form content is something that can be it can be something you post to Instagram stories, like something like this example here on the cultural outreach page. You can see lots of videos that are 15 seconds, and a lot is communicated in that period of time. It could also be a response to a common question. So if you create Q&A type videos, this is something I recommend to a lot of clients, where you are responding to common questions around credit, for example, or someone's going to ask what a credit score is. So you create a short video, 30 seconds or less, that talks about that. And I'm sure there is a whole lot more you'd like to say. So instead of going into all there is about building your credit score or improving your credit score and all that, talk about for 30 seconds what a credit score is. And then create another video that is how to improve your credit score. And another video, you can create those series, but all short form content. And then that's stuff that you can post easily on social media that is something someone can quickly review as they're going through their newsfeed. It's also things that you can quickly share with customers. And then it can lead into long-form content. And we actually produce quite a bit of long-form content because we do a lot of industry interviews and things like that. And we find that it kind of depends, and they go hand in hand, but it could be something that is much more valuable or a longer conversation. And so this might be 2 to 6 minutes that you can still use for social media, but it's something that someone's investing a little bit more of their time in. So we try to keep our interviews to around that time, but sometimes we have things that go to 20 minutes, and we are about to release a roundtable discussion that was 45 minutes, 30 to 45 minutes. And so you can have those longer pieces of content, but that's more like a movie or a show. Like, that's something I'm going to sit down and watch that or listen to that while I'm on my way somewhere. So those are all different forms of content. And again, you can use a mix of both, where you're clipping, like the roundtable that we're releasing, where we have about 8 30-second clips that we're pulling from that as teasers, and as they're good standalone clips as well. But most importantly, all of this should be suitable for mobile. Everyone is on their mobile devices, and they are, that's how they're listening and viewing content. So just think about that. I think I talked about this more, but I'll share a little bit about the difference between horizontal and vertical video as well. But you can also repost a video content. So shout out to, for example, Social Survey, the CEO, Scott Harris, gave us a great shout out, and so I reposted that, and it's a great visual component. It's almost a testimonial too. You can also repost educational videos. So for our clients, we create a lot of short videos that are 30 seconds and that talk about things like the home buying process and things like that. So those are good video components that you can share. Now, we always recommend with a repost that you are writing some kind of comment about it. Like if the video is on the top 3 things to build your credit score, then say number 2 is so important, and a lot of our clients forget that. Or something that creates a personal touch and kind of hooks people to want to watch it. You could also think about sharing things like TED Talks. Those are a lot of millennials and people generally are watching those. It's inspirational. You can think about things that it might be money saving or family friendly videos that are more authentic, like things that are happening at events. And of course, there's the funny videos, but be very cautious with that one. And then you can, of course, create your own content, which is a lot of what we'll talk about today. And creating your own content is a very authentic way to build your personal brand. You want everyone to one, know that you have value and expertise, but 2, and definitely just as important, you want people to know you for who you are. People do business with people. And what's really interesting about video is kind of the psychology behind how you can make a personal connection. So when we're face to face, our bodies naturally, our brains produce a hormone called oxytocin, and it's a bonding chemical. And so it creates a bonding experience between me and another person. And video actually allows you to do that, not to a little bit of a lesser degree, but it still allows you to bond with your audience. I mean, I get people all the time coming up to me at conferences and or at events and start talking to me like we already know each other. And I always think, oh, I just forgot that I met them. And then midway through, they'll say, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. You don't know who I am. I've just seen your videos. So I feel like I already know you. That's what you want your audience to feel like. You want them to feel that they can already trust you, and that you're skipping past the whole period of get to know you. People, if they can watch their videos, they're creating a bond with you. And that allows you to be scalable. And it also allows you to build that trust. And like Ryan said, I mean, we went through the financial crisis, and for a lot of young consumers, that's what we think of the industry. We entered adulthood during or right after the financial crisis. And so we have a lot of distrust, and video allows you to mitigate that and improve your trust through transparency and a feeling of accessibility and definitely authenticity. So the other thing I want to mention before we get into responding to any questions and talking about production is that there's also types of video content that is the difference between marketing and customer service. So marketing video would be something that you post on social media. And when I say marketing, I mean it's a piece of content that you push out for everyone. So it's not a sales message. It's not saying, hey, rates are low, so give me a call. It's you sharing some kind of expertise, like about buying a home or responding to common questions. That's content you're putting out publicly. You can also use video in a personalized experience. So you just met with someone, you sat down with them or talked to them about the home buying process, what it's going to look like to work with you. Maybe they've been qualified, and now you send a video follow-up that says, hey, it was so great sitting down with you, John, and you're making it personal and saying, hey, I want to remind you of this and this, and looking forward to working with you. And then you text that video over. So it's a personal experience. There's lots of platforms out there. We actually are we just created a relationship with BombBomb, which is a software that I love. Bomb is in like bombs exploding type thing. But there's things like that out there that allow you to do that easily as well. Or you can just take a video from your smartphone. So that leads us into the actual hows of producing videos. But before I get there, I want to pause and see if we have any questions.
Thanks, Kristen. Joe has said, I have found quality audio is important and more quote-unquote professional sounding. Thoughts?
Absolutely. And that is a great segue into production. So I'm going to pause on that question. And are there any other questions or comments?
Scott just had a quick question asking if you'll be reviewing the best and easiest companies to use to film and to send out videos.
Yes, we will talk about distribution. Now, there are a lot of mobile apps out there that allow you to edit videos, and I don't know if I get into specifics, but I plan to send a follow-up email on that give you some of these resources. So I will make a note for some of those editing apps if that's of interest to people as well.
Excellent. Floor is back to you.
All right. So getting into the actual production. So quality. Now, when we talk about quality, I agree, quality is very, very, very helpful, especially around audio. But you don't need an expensive production team. I love a well-filmed video. I mean, if you watch the Chrissy Furco video, you can see that was professionally filmed. It's a lot of our interviews are done professionally with a videographer, and it's going to feel nicer quality. But that should not keep you from doing video, because our smartphones are actually really great at capturing video and audio, really. But there's a few things that you can use to improve the audio and video quality from your home office. And that is really all you need. So I will say as a note, people remember bad quality, and you always want to be remembered for good things. So be very careful about make sure your space is not noisy or cluttered. Think about little things that can make something feel like bad quality. So there's basic and there's advanced. I'm going to focus a lot on basic, but there's you can kind of mix it up a little bit here as well. So first of all, on the equipment of your camera, your iPhone or your smartphone, quality camera is going to be really, really great. I just posted a video on our Instagram page with an interview that I did with Miguel Vega. And so if you go to the Cultural Outreach Instagram account, you can see what that looks like. That was just, there are a couple clips, and we're going to have that professionally edited. So you can kind of mix this up, but the video, and I had someone holding the camera, so it wasn't even like properly set up, but it's going to do a good job. And if you wanted to go advanced, you could purchase something like a DSLR, or you could hire a videographer to shoot that. Now, if you're going to do something like an event, let's say you want to do a home buying seminar, and you're going to, or I don't know, some kind of special occasion, maybe hire a videographer for that. Or maybe you want to do a series that's just a little bit more artsy, and you want to invest more in that. That's when you might want to go that advanced route. But for the majority of videos, your smartphone camera is going to be just fine. One thing that I don't include in here is that you could also get a tripod to put your camera on, put your smartphone on, so that it's steady. That helps a lot. So in terms of lighting, you can really just get go somewhere where there's good daylight, and that's going to be great. I mean, a lot of professional videography work that we've done is outside, or somewhere that you can get good daylight even. Or you can set up a lighting kit, and you can look online on Amazon for things like that. Or a videographer will provide that. And then in terms of sound, you can choose just a quiet setting, or you can get a microphone attachment for your phone. And that is very, very inexpensive and does a really great job. So on that Miguel Vega example on our Instagram account right now that was just posted, I used an attachment, and I grabbed a mess of this iPhone attachment so I could show you guys. So there is something, I'll send this in the email follow-up, but anyway, plugged into your phone. You usually have to get what's called a dongle if you have a newer phone, because it's gonna look like this. But anyway, you can attach that, just plugs right into your phone, and then you have a little microphone here, and you just attach it to your jacket or your shirt, and it produces really high quality sound. So the Miguel Vega video was actually in a very noisy plaza. It was extremely loud. There, you can hear the people talking, but you can hear Miguel perfectly. And so it completely allowed for us to have the interview would have been terrible had I not had this microphone. And this is, I know it's less than $50. So really inexpensive, and adds a lot, and you can keep it with you. I keep it with me now everywhere I go. This is actually a newer purchase for me, and I just have a little bag and put it in my purse in case I ever want to do an interview with someone. So if you want to go a little bit more advanced, you can get something like a Yeti, or there's snowballs, things like that. But this is something that I would use for like a podcast. And then you can also get I have a webcam right now to produce a little bit higher quality visual, and generally I have better daylight, but unfortunately in LA it's rainy for some reason. So, but usually that produces a little bit higher quality video, and it has better sound too than just your computer. So if you're producing videos from your laptop or desktop, you can use something like that. And again, that was like $60, I think. And then when it comes to editing, you can use a free app, or sometimes they're like $5 or whatever, but iMovie is free, that comes with your iPhone, and you can use that, and it's very easy to use and produces a great quality. Or you can hire an editor, and they can add in title slides and transitions, things like that. You can hire someone from, there's lots of websites out there where you can look at people's quality of production. One is called Upwork, like not down, but up and then work. And you can find tons of editors there. We have an editor, and I'm happy to make a referral for that person if you'd like, but generally that's going to cost somewhere between just around $200 a video. So sometimes it's more worthwhile for you to hire an intern or have someone in your office learn how to produce or create, do some good editing from some of the apps. Okay, and then getting into consistency. So you want to not just produce one video every now and then, but really make it a consistent effort, something that you're doing on a regular basis. And this is something that we're always growing with. We've been doing video interviews with National MI, I think, for the last couple of years, at least the last year, and it's a regular thing. Every single month, we know we're going to have at least one video interview with someone. And so you want to calendar it like that, where you know you do maybe one video interview with someone in your community, and you do at least release one educational video. And you know, it's just kind of part, and you know that you send a video follow-up personalized thing after every consultation. So those are the types of things that I would recommend having in your calendar. And make a actual content plan. So start with a goal of, again, creating 2 videos a month or 1 video a week. And then you can make more casual videos, like from your Instagram stories or Facebook stories or things like that on a daily basis. And be mindful of who you are and what kind of video content your audience is going to want to see. I would say that, you know, yes, you always want to communicate expertise, and but also, honestly, if you're way into cats, maybe you're sharing some cat videos sometimes. But think about who you are. There's a colleague actually for National MI, Dana Abernathy. I was just with her in Nashville, and we were talking about how she was so surprised when she started posting videos on her Instagram stories of her horses, what a positive response she got. But that's part of who she is, and that's part of her personal brand. So maybe you're way into coffee, and so you start doing interviews with coffee shop owners or people talking about, you know, that make coffee or something like that, baristas, and that's part of your video content. But think about how your personal brand is weaved into your professional brand. Because again, people do business with people. And then most importantly, be authentic. So people do business with people. They want to know who you are. You don't need to be the slickest, perfect person. No one likes a perfect person. You be yourself, and it's okay if you mess up sometimes on video. It's okay if you say, you know, if you stumble in your words, just pick it back up and pretend that you're talking in person. You wouldn't tell someone, if you were having a conversation, you wouldn't say, I'm sorry, I'm going to redo that. But you could say, you know what, let me step back. I'm getting ahead of myself. Or, you know, you can clarify things, and that's completely fine. But be relatable. So parts of being relatable, avoid sounding salesy, make it personable and comfortable, and you might think about how you can appeal to people's values as a person. You know, you can include your family or your daily life in your video content. You might think about how you can incorporate community involvement and some of the nonprofit leaders or small business owners. Again, doing interviews and things that are interesting, but again, relatable. And then tell a compelling story. So draw from personal experiences and your existing customer base, your community, and think about what overarching story you're going to tell. So maybe it's that you have, or think about the things that compile your personal story, make up your personal story. Maybe it's that you're way into horses and you're way into coffee and you are a loan officer. So think about how your stories or your videos are telling that story. And how should the viewer feel after watching the video? Think about what the end result is. Are they going to feel more educated because I just learned how to bump up my credit score? Are they going to feel more confident? Are they going to feel like they got to know me and that they found a trustworthy expert? So think about those end goals and how you can simplify things to make up your story. And be prepared. Think about this ahead of time. So you're very strategic about your videos. You can do your daily stories a little bit more on the fly, but even on those, you might want to think strategically about why you're doing them and if they're reflecting that brand that you've thought about. So in terms of production, also think about where you're choosing to shoot those videos and plan a script ahead of time. Not a script to read, but a script to just generally follow, like bullet points of the main points that you want to come across. And when you first start, and maybe for some more produced type videos, you want to re-record a few times. Generally, when we do a follow-up, like after webinars, sometimes we'll do a follow-up summary video, especially for our top webinars. And those we re-record several times usually, because we want to make sure, like, okay, yeah, I forgot to say this, or when I said that, it didn't quite sound right. So you may re-record, or you may just practice a few times with the script and the bullet points, and then you're providing it. So it's like a speech. You would practice a speech ahead of time. And you think about what kind of environment. Do I have a lot going on my walls? Do I want to get rid of the shadows here? Whatever it is. Okay, so I know that's a lot, but do we have questions or thoughts so far?
So thanks, Kristen, and we may need to do a follow-up on this because some of these are pretty detailed, but I'll shout them out there, and if you feel like you have the answer right now, go ahead and let us know. Otherwise, I can mark which ones we can follow up with our students with. So Carolyn said, have you talked about how you can shrink the video so it can be sent via email without making it wobbly?
Shrink the video without making it wobbly. I'm not sure what we're referencing in terms of it being wobbly. I will say, one, if the video is shaky, try using a tripod, which you can get on Amazon. But if you're talking about the size of the video, that's where BombBomb can be really helpful because it's made to be sent over video. So you can actually create it from the app on your phone or on your computer and just send it directly into your email. Or you can upload it to something like YouTube, and you can make those links unlisted or private if you don't want to share that publicly. And so when you upload the video, you would just click, you see public as a drop down, and you'd click on that, and it would go to unlisted, and then you send the link in that email. So hopefully that helps.
Yeah, and she did a little clarification. She had to use something to make the video easier to send, not so large, and she used Panda something, and it made the video shaky when she converted it.
Got it. Okay, yeah. So I would definitely recommend just creating a link for them to view it. So that would be really common to just that's what we do a lot of times, upload it to YouTube or whatever and have that link unlisted or private.
Okay. And Jose wanted to know, is there any app out there that will take a live video that's a 16:9 and convert it for Instagram TV?
Yeah, so I haven't seen anything that's good at doing that. I feel like I honestly haven't searched for that though. So I've seen other people's video, and I apologize. I'm downtown LA, so I get sirens a lot. But yeah, I think that generally you don't want to do that. You want to, if you're shooting a video, have one thing up horizontal, like maybe your webcam, and then you have your phone propped up for the vertical option, and that's what you upload to IGTV. But I have seen people on IGTV just have their vertical video, their horizontal video in there, and it's obviously not as mobile, or it's not as nice to watch, but it's an option.
Okay. And just cut me off anytime because we've got a whole bunch of questions coming through, and I know you have a lot more content to cover. So what is your feedback on using PowerPoint slide videos with an image of presenter versus a scene video?
So I think I understand that question. And actually, so are you talking about this type of video where you can see my face, but you can also see the slides, and I'm going through the slides?
We'll have to get clarification on that.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I can come back to you. Or go ahead.
I'll just say quickly that that kind of video is really cool because it does allow you to have this personal connection, and you can go through slides that allow you to demonstrate something and share expertise on that. So I think that's a really cool type of video.
Okay, and I think that's what they confirmed that. And awesome. I know you're an Apple girl, so we've got some Android users out there. And do you have an Android editor that you would recommend? And Richard wanted to know.
I feel so bad I did not prepare that. I don't know why I didn't think about that, but I don't have any of those offhand that I can think of. So I will send that in a follow-up. But I obviously should have included that. I am such an Apple girl, whether I like it or not. It's just, your host. So I'll go ahead and go through this section, and then that way we can just answer any questions. So.
Sounds good. Thanks, Kristen.
Cool. All right. So building a distribution strategy. Oh, here we go. So one, know your platforms, what platform does what, and we'll start with Instagram. And again, there's a lot of content in here, so this is stuff that you will be able to go back to and reference, but I'm going to go quickly through it. So an Instagram story is about 15 seconds max, and Sarah my colleague did a great webinar on this topic. I think it was last month. So you can go back and see that at discoverim3.com for all the details on this. But Instagram stories are more authentic. They're showcasing personality. And there's a lot of people spend time going through stories. And this is what I was talking about with Dana sharing stories of her horses. That's a perfect example. She said she loved people loved seeing how that part of her life was. And so it's an authentic kind of behind the scenes type thing. You're not just this one-dimensional professional. You are multifaceted, and people get to see part of that, which is really cool. IGTV is 15 seconds to 10 minutes. So this is kind of like the YouTube of Instagram, and it is mobile friendly. So it's a vertical format only, which means up and down, and obviously, and it's more authentic generally, but it is also more staged than stories. The stories are like, oh, I almost missed my plane and whatever, and I'm just kind of sharing quick stuff on the go. But IGTV would be a lot more like an interview with someone or something that is much more produced. It doesn't have to be, it's still authentic, but it can be a lot more produced. So content like that might be blogs or personal stories, educational content, how-tos. This is where it would be great to share more in depth on and doing a series that's educational. And then Instagram Live is where you are doing a live broadcast. And so you might do a monthly home buyer or market check-in, or you might do a home buyer seminar on Instagram Live, or you're at an event and you're sharing some live content. Generally, it's recommended that you lead up to this. So you say, hey, Thursday is our big event, and join us at 3 p.m. We're going live on Instagram, and maybe you even create little graphics that you're sharing to promote it, but it's something you don't want to miss. And so it's kind of an event. And then when you go live, it notifies your followers that you are live. So these could be interviews. I've done a lot of interviews on Facebook Live, and I've seen people do them on Instagram. So those types of things are great to do. You can also do webinars using Zoom. We use Zoom, and you can push those live as well, which is cool, over any platform. Then there's Facebook. Facebook Live is what I've done a lot on, and generally with other partners, but it's a live broadcast. You're building up to it. Generally, more baby boomers and Gen Xers are going to be on Facebook, And so the audience is a little bit older. So you might think about that in terms of content. And you also don't, unless you have multiple devices, you don't go live on Facebook and Instagram, by the way. Multiple platforms. You're choosing one this is where I'm showing up. This is the room or the event that I'm going to. It's on Facebook. You can tell people on Instagram, hey, I'm going live on Facebook, and promote it that way, but that's different. You can also share videos, of course, on your Facebook newsfeed. Generally, it's recommended that you upload native video, but if you're trying to get more traffic to your YouTube channel, or sometimes it's just easier. I used to upload natively videos into Facebook always, and it just became kind of a pain. So you can post a link to the YouTube video and it still shows up and looks good that way. But a native video, you can watch it in your newsfeed, which is really nice. And you can share videos, reshare stuff from colleagues as well. Then there's YouTube. So YouTube is around 2 to 5 minutes, but you can also go a lot longer. And like I said, we do some interviews we have a playlist from Agent 2021 where all the interviews were 2 to 5 minutes. And then we have some longer interviews that are up to 15 minutes. And generally it's best to have a max of around that time so that you can break it up. And the default upload max length is 15 minutes, but it can be increased with a verified account. So longer videos on YouTube are going to appeal more to an older audience, and it's, again, more of an episode or a thing that you're sitting down to watch. Shorter videos are more great for the millennials and Gen Zers that have the shorter attention span. So this is more traditional and more of course, it's a widescreen horizontal video that you're loading into YouTube. And then the content here could be anything from industry interviews to something that's really cool and trendy right now is doing narrative docuseries where you're kind of documenting someone's experience. So you could you interview someone that's a business owner at the taco shop down the street, and you video, you kind of talk to some of the customers and share a little bit about the whole vibe of the place. That's an example of a docuseries, but it could be also customer success stories, could be partnerships, any events that you're doing in your community, and of course, educational content. And this is where I recommend that you sit down and actually create maybe a playlist on YouTube that is responding to common questions, or creating expertise around maybe a playlist that's all short videos of talking about the home buying process, step 1, step 2, etc. Then you have another playlist that's about how to budget wisely, things like that. And you can also upload recorded webinars, which we do as well. And then the next section is getting into how-tos, and this I'm going to let you guys specifically refer back to because I think it's a little bit harder to walk through that and be able to capture all of that. And I know we have a lot of questions, so I'll just share what's in here, and then you can use this as a resource later on. So first of all, this is going to walk you through how to create a YouTube business channel. So the whole process of signing in and customizing your channel. It's important to always have art behind, like a cover photo, just like all of your social media platforms. And here's some essentials, like using, you can use AdWords, keywords, using relevant titles, fully filling out the description, and you can use things to track the comments as well. So Mortgage Coach actually has a great YouTube channel, and they just totally crush it in the mortgage industry. So that's a good example of something to go to. Lots of interviews. They get lots of engagement on there, so it's great. And we have a bunch of content on their channel as well. So, and then promoting your channel, this is where you want to include a subscribe link in your email signature, share on social media channels, so promote it on all of your social media channels. You can even do paid advertisements to get people to subscribe. Creating playlists helps to get more subscribers as well, so that you can see, okay, there's a home buyer education playlist, there's a budgeting playlist, all of that. And then Q&A videos do a lot for getting engagement as well. And asking influencers to share. So maybe you are wanting to get more exposure, and interviewing a community leader that has a big influence is a great way to do that. And then asking them to share that would be a way to do that. So we've got 10 minutes left to respond to your questions, but in summary, make sure that you're embracing video to build a personal and authentic brand. That's about who you are as an expert and as a human being. Secondly, create a content plan. So be strategic about how you're telling your story and how you're producing and distributing that content. And then lastly, do this on a consistent basis. So thank you. And remember, subscribe to our YouTube page. This is fairly new, so we'd love to get subscribers there. And also check out our resources on Discover M3. So Karen, we can continue with the questions.
Thanks, Kristen. Awesome information. Edward has a great comment. He says, I'd like a follow-up class. That would be great. So I know you guys dive in and offer services to folks directly, personally as well, if you want to address that. But he also said, use video that will compress video, such as Adobe Premiere Elements. So I'll let you go ahead and comment there.
Great. Yeah, no, that's another great resource then to have to share with others. And I am happy to follow up with any questions that you guys have after this. I will mention that we are releasing right now we produce video content and social media content that's around financial literacy and all of that for companies, and they distribute that to their loan officers. But we are releasing an individual option in the next probably month. So if you're interested in receiving video content from us, I'll share an example that you guys can just use and have for free following this webinar. But if you're interested in subscribing for more than that, then let us know and we'll put you on that wait list as well. But yeah, we create the lots of short educational videos and things like that to help you with guiding your video and visual content strategy.
Great. So there's some folks on here that are just going to get started, and Lisa says she wants to launch into doing videos. And would you suggest she start by doing like her personal story? Sharing like an intro about her and what she does, or go right into more content about mortgages?
Great question. So I think starting out with your personal story would be great. Keep it short though, like 2 minutes or less. And so I know it's a lot to try to fit that in, but create something very short that helps people get to know you. And then I would recommend creating another video that is what it's like to work with you. You could also make that the same video, but if you want to create a second video, what the home buying process is like and how you help guide people through that process would be a great another video that you refer to people. And that's something that then as soon as you meet someone, as soon as you get a lead, you're sending them that video, which is really cool. So I would recommend having at least the guide kind of thing. And then following that, so you have your intro video, and then following that, I would do common questions or common responses to common questions, because the Q&A videos are pretty easy to produce. It's something that you're pretty comfortable with and doesn't take a whole lot of strategy. And it gets you comfortable in front of the camera and gets you producing content. So maybe every Friday you're releasing, and you can shoot all these at the same time, but every Friday you're releasing a new response to a question, and people look forward to seeing that and start asking you the questions as well. And then you can have those on your YouTube channel, be sharing those everywhere. So that's where I would start if you have not done video in the past.
Good suggestions. We just had a comment come through from Carolyn, and she just said, with all the hacking and the phishing going on out there, people might be hesitant to click on a link. For a video, is there anything that you would suggest to get the information out there via email with a video?
So again, BombBomb is a great way to do that because it embeds the video in the email. And with that, you can, and I'll send you a referral link actually, and a follow-up, because that subscription allows you to have access to some of our video content. But the other thing is that people are accustomed to using YouTube or Vimeo. So YouTube and Vimeo links, we're not going to have a hard time clicking on that. Now, you don't want to just include the link in there. You're not cold emailing someone that. You're saying, hey, it was great meeting you, or hey, I got your information from so-and-so. We wanted to introduce you to me. Here's a link to this YouTube video. And usually, we use Gmail, but most email platforms, it will load that into the email as well. So there, but that won't make someone skeptical. Now, if you just send the link and that's it, no context, then yeah, I'm not gonna click that. But that's good.
Right,
good
right. We had a question come in too about how the lighting always seems to be bad, and I know when we do our videos, we have 3 different lights. You got an uplight, an overlight, and a softbox light to control the texture of the light, if you will. And I know a lot of times your local camera shops will do classes on those and, of course, sell you the lighting. But I can tell you it just takes it from amateur to professional with just 3 simple lights. But go ahead if you have any other comments on that.
No, that is a great point. And Karen, I forgot that you have been on video. You've been a video pro for a while with your husband doing videography and all of that. So those were great comments about lighting.
Okay. And then let's see here. You mentioned having something coming up here in a month or so. They want to know how they can sign up for that.
So yeah, I should have formally given you that option, but if you just email me at kristen@culturaloutreach.com, or you send me a message on LinkedIn, whatever, and let me know that you're interested in checking that out, then I will add you to that wait list. So I'll send a follow-up email as well that allows you to get some more information about it. But it will include a subscription to actually right now you can subscribe to this BombBomb option that gives you a few of our videos as well. And then we'll be releasing that individual subscription that allows you to have monthly video and infographics that we'll be sharing for content to share on social media as well. So, but just send me an email and I'll send you more information about that.
Great. I know when you do post on social media, you always recommend a day, time, consistency, that type of thing. Does that same thing apply to video, or do you have any other suggestions for the best time to post a video?
Yeah, so generally it's best to post during the day, and any kind of content, it depends on your audience, what's working for you. But so test it out. And the point is to be consistent. So if every Monday at 4 p.m. works best for you, or every Tuesday at 7 a.m. for your, whatever kind of content you're releasing, just be consistent about it. And I think same thing applies with any kind of social media content, doing it when people are awake and active and not busy with their home life, then that's going to be a lot better traction.
What sort of personal touch do you recommend that someone could put in a professional introduction video that would go to potential clients?
So, sorry, can you repeat that?
Sure. Do you have any ideas or suggestions on how they could incorporate a personal touch in a professional introduction video that they're doing? So it doesn't seem so business-like that they can, yeah.
Yeah. So first of all, your authenticity is helpful. So you just, being yourself, but saying, hey, I want to walk through what the home buying process looks like and what it looks like to work with you. But first I want to introduce myself. I'm Kristen Messerly. I am you explain you're a business owner or whatever. I love coffee. I travel all the time. I try to take as many international trips as possible. And, you know, so you kind of like quickly introduce that in 15 seconds, and then it allows people to get to know you. And now I want to walk through what it's like to actually work with me, and then you go from there. So I've seen lots of intro videos that are honestly all personal, but really work well. I think, gosh, I can't remember his name. There's a loan officer that talked about surfing, and he just kind of shared how he has these kids and he goes surfing and all of that, and it was a nice introduction. So.
Very good. Well, that was the tone that we're at the top of the hour, and we still have about 5 more questions to go. So, Kristen, I know that you do take those and put together a follow-up video for us. So we'll get those sent over to you, and apologize that we couldn't get to those today, but I think we covered just a ton of great information. And thank you, Kristen, as always, for your expertise in this area. And we love everything that you do to get your word out. And glad you were here with us today. So thanks again for supporting us at National MI. We do appreciate your business and your partnership, and we look forward to having you back on our webinar with Kristen next month. Everyone have a great day.
Thank you so much.